여러분 안녕하세요. Today we are going to take a look at the basic facts about Korea and also the essential linguistic features of Korean. It eventually help you understand the Korean language. So before getting to the real game, the Korean letters, vowels and consonants, syllable, how do you form a syllable, I just want to discuss the basic things to help you understand. So take a look at textbook page 2 through page 15 for those who have the textbook. Okay, first of all, introduction of Korea. So what we are seeing here is the map of Korea. It's bordered by North China. This is Korean Peninsula, and it's divided by North Korea and South Korea. And here's the Seoul, and bordered by Japan on south side. So this is the basic facts about Korea. So official name of South Korea is 대한민국, and the area covers around 38,023 square miles. Population currently is of about 67 million. This is only for South Korea. And capital is Seoul, and other major cities, including the biggest, the port here, Busan and Incheon, where the Incheon International Airport is located, and Daegu in Gyeongsang Province, and other places like Daejeon, 충청남도, Chungcheong Province, and Jeonju, 전라북도, 전라북 Province, and Gwangju. For those who travel to Korea, you probably are familiar with some of major cities. The monetary is about it's a one, and the equivalent 1,000 equivalent to around 90 cents. Language is Korean. Literacy rate is up to 99%. And what you're looking here is a national flag of Korea. It's called 태극기. 태극기. Okay, now I'm going to talk about features of Korean language. First of all, in terms of speaker, it's spoken by 80 million Koreans living in North Korea, 25 million, and South Korean 48.4 million, and 5.6 million overseas Korean residents, including 2.7 million in China and 2.1 million United States each, and zero point 0.9 million in Japan and zero point 0.5 million in the former Soviet Union as heritage language. It's rated 13th among over 6,000 languages in the world in terms of their numbers of speakers. Relations to other languages. The closest sister language is Japanese. However, they are not mutually intelligible. They are completely different languages. Although for those who are those native speakers Japanese, probably find there's a striking similarity between Korean language and Japanese, especially in grammatical structures. Both languages belong to Altai language, like Manchu or Mongolian or Turkish language. So, although Korean and Japan are geographically, historically, and culturally close to China, Korean and Japanese are not part of the same language family as Chinese. Not grammatically related to Chinese, but borrow a large number of Chinese words and characters. And borrowed words and characters have become integral part of the Korean and Japanese vocabularies. And in terms of vocabulary, native words make up 35% of the words. They denote daily necessities such as food, clothing, house, families, location, basic actions, numbers and body parts, and basic actions, and natural object, animals. So the examples of these kind of words are 엄마, mommy, or 머리, your head or hair. And Sino-Korean numbers make up 60%. Chinese originated words such as institutional terms, cultural terms, person names, and place names like student, 학생, college, 대학, Korea, 한국, 한미, like Korea and America. Loan words about 5 to 10%, so 90% from English with some modifications such as apartment, 아파트, bus, 골프, coffee, those kind of words. Word order. I just want to briefly talk about word order. Korean, like Japanese, is a verb or adjective final language. So the verb and adjectives comes at the end of the sentence or clause, while other elements appear before the verb and adjectives. So here's example. So I just want to say in English, Marx reads a book. And how to say this in Korean? So you put the subject mark at the beginning of the sentence as in English, but then a book object is placed before verb 있어요, 읽어요, which is a read. So that is why Korean is often called as SOV language, as subject and object verb. So what we are saying here is the verb or adjective predicate is always placed at the end of the sentence, and all other elements are placed before the predicate. Korean is often called a free word order language. Although in normal speech, a subject tends to appear at the first position of the sentence, it permits the elements before the verb or adjective to be scrambled for emphatic or other purpose as long as the verbs or adjectives retain the final position. The grammatical features indicated by using particles attached to the items. So you'll be surprised that there are a lot of the sentence where it's not easy to identify grammatical functions of each item. In that sense, particle plays a major role. The particle will be introduced a lot of particles in Korean one, and the major functions of the particles, the identifying the grammatical functions of the item it is associated. And I'm going to discuss the particle a lot. Uh, Also, the Korean is often called a situation-oriented language. Why? Contextually, situationally understood element, subject, or object are frequently omitted. So let's say I want to say I love you, which is 사랑해요 in Korean. So when you look at this phrase, you'll be surprised that there is no subject, which is I, or object you, I love you in English. So you might wonder who's love whom. But it's if the context clear, who loves whom, the subject or the object, many times you just omit the item that's clear or understood by the context. So many times inserting a pronoun like I here in this context or you, the object would be sound a little bit awkward in normal context. There are a lot of sentences there. There are no object or sentence or subject. And also other the feature that stands out in Korean language is macro to micro language. So always the universe is always represented from the bigger unit, where the groupness comes first, and individual item or small unit comes later. So here's a few examples I just want to share. So when you say name, in English, start with the first name and the last name. In Korea, it's completely different. You always say the last name and the first name. So my name is Sujong Choi. So Su is my first name. My name in Korea is Choi Soo-jung. So last name, first name. Also, when you say the year, always the year the comes first and followed by month and day. So let's say you want to say like August 25th, 2009. How do I say this in Korean? So you start with 2009, 2009년 August 8월 25일, which is 25th. So this is the correct order. Also, when you talk about the address, always start with the bigger unit, starting with the country, province, city, neighborhood numbers. So completely opposite from the United States. I just want to briefly talk about the honorific expressions. Korean is a language where the honorific expressions are well developed, influenced by the Confucianism. So, different formal expression and speech levels are used depending on the person you're talking to as well as the person you are talking about. So, you have to always consider relative age and kinship, the social status of the person you are talking to or talking with. So here's examples of the honorific expressions. So in English, in the United States, using English, the when there's a when your son and father are talking, go to bed, like good night. How do you say this? The same expressions is used to each other, good night and good night. But in Korea, depending on the person who talking to, you use a different expression. So son is saying to father good night, 안녕히 주무세요. And the father is using the completely different expression, 잘 자라. So you have to always consider the other persons, the whom you are talking to. Here are more the examples of the honorific expressions. The small number of commonly used words have two forms, plain form and another honorific expression. So for meal, the plain expression is 밥, and the honorific expression is 진지. House, 집, plain expression, honorific expression, 댁. So junior person is referring to a senior person's item, then you have to always use honorific expression to show respect, to honor the other persons. Korean has 6 speech levels that indicate the speaker's interpersonal relations with the addressee. The speech levels are indicated by sentence final suffixes attached to verb or adjectives. So here are the different speech level. In Korean one, we are only focusing on the polite speeches, which is most frequently used expression in daily life. Polite speeches are 어요, 아요. It's often at time called as 어요, 아요. It always ends with 어요, 아요. So we are going to spend a lot of time practicing the polite speeches, conjugation, and context. Korean is often called a agglutinative language. A series of particles and suffixes attached to nominals, pronoun, or nouns or numerals and numeral phrase, and predicates, verb, and adjective. So 가시였겠습니다. You see a verb stem 가 and then honorific expression, the honorific suffix 시 and at past tense get mood item and 습니다. Those kind of all the items are attached to the verb, the basic form 가. Okay, that's all. And for those who have time, I just want you to read the textbook, the page 2, 3, 15 to understand the basic things about Korean language.